Feel like you're all alone when it comes to studying for the bar exam? Doesn't have to be that way. In today's video lesson number 2, I'll explain how you can get support when you study for the exam. I'm Jackson Mumey, the owner and founder of Celebration Bar Review, and for over 30 years I've helped thousands of bar takers, people just like you, to make their next bar exam the last bar exam. If you want to know more about how we do that, check out the links on this page after this video. Today we're talking about tip number 2 in our series on how to make the next bar exam your last bar exam. You remember in tip number 1 I said you should start early, and so hopefully you've already begun, or at least you're getting ready to begin. So what's the next step after you start early? Today's tip is to enlist support for your studies. What do I mean by enlisting support? Why would that improve your scores? There are a couple of things that are involved. First, it's been my experience that very few people actually study for the bar exam entirely by themselves. That is to say, there's some impact on the people around you, your family, your friends, your co-workers, even your classmates from school. Whoever it is that might be part of your world, they're probably going to be impacted by your bar study. Now remember, if you watch the first message in the series, I said it's going to take a bit of time, 4 to 6 months, 250 to 300 hours typically, to do a solid job of studying and passing the bar. That's a very long time to go and be a hermit. It's a long time to live in a cave or be in the monastery studying for the bar exam. You get the idea. In reality, very few people can do that successfully. So for a period of time, 4 to 6 months, let's say, you're going to have to learn how to balance and juggle your time between work, time with the study, time with family, time with other commitments that you might have. And that can be an overwhelming task for many people. So how do you get through all of that? How do you do it without ending up in a disaster with failed relationships, bad and unhappy employers, unhappy family members, and generally feeling pretty crappy all the way around? The most successful examples I've seen over the years of people who've studied successfully, passed the bar, and kept their relationships have been among those people who enlisted the support of the key people in their world, their family, their friends, their employers, their communities, as they got involved in the process. In today's age, with Facebook and Twitter and TikTok and LinkedIn and so on, it's obviously easier to keep in touch with people that are significant in your life, sometimes too much. I'm always surprised when I put myself out into one of those places that people are like, oh yeah, what did you do about this or this? I didn't really want to tell you that. But I'm always fascinated about what bar students have to say, particularly on groups and in places like Facebook with their studies. So they'll update consistently about how their studies are going. The kinds of comments, I'm so tired because I studied the rule against perpetuities for the 400th time. But then, interestingly enough, people start writing back in saying, keep going, keep at it, you can do it, I'm proud of you, make it happen. Now, we've actually formalized this a little bit. We have a private group for our bar takers, and it's actually populated not just with our current students, but with our past successful students and our staff. And it is amazing how often when somebody's feeling down and they post about it, the community steps in to lift them up and push them and encourage them and give them support. I think it's a great resource. And it's amazing how that community, that online community, can jump in there and say, keep doing it, keep going, you can make it happen. But the same thing that happens online really happens in real life. I found that when people have family support or friend support from whatever place or whatever structure, they tend to do better on the exam. They tend to be more balanced people as they're going through their studies, and we see higher scores. The people and the students I've worked with that wall themselves off from everyone else around them tend to get more obsessed about the exam. They lose perspective. Plato called this the allegory of the man in the cave. You remember the allegory, the man's locked into the cave. He can't see the sunshine in the opening of the cave behind him. And so the shadows become real to him. It's all he knows. And that's a little bit what happens to bar exam students. They begin to think the shadows on the wall are real. They've lost perspective. And as you get closer to the test date, there's more perspective to lose. And that tends to cause more frustration and more study problems and more personal problems. So, practically speaking, what should you do? My suggestion is that at the point you've decided to take the bar exam, and you've now picked the date that you're going to take the test, you've made the commitment to start early, this is a good time to gather the people around you that are important to you. Whether you do it in person or online, whatever way that works for you, go ahead and let them know what you're going to do. That is, put yourself out there and say, I'm going to take the bar exam in February or July of whatever year it is, and I intend to pass it. Let them know, however, what that's going to mean. And by saying what it's going to mean, tell them it's going to take about 250 to 300 hours of study. It's going to be 4 to 6 months of study time. And then I think you should go on to say to them, it means I'm probably not going to be so much fun at certain times of the year. Probably got to get up early in the morning or maybe stay awake late at night occasionally. Maybe it means we've got to put off the family trip this year or take it after the bar exam instead of our normal time. It might mean sitting down with your employer and saying, look, you just can't kill me at work in the month before the bar exam. I need some time off, or I need some help, or an assistant, or whatever the situation might be. My point is, you need to enlist the support up front. Let people know at the beginning what your expectations are of them. And then, and here's the really important part, flip it. Ask them what they'd like from you during that period of time. Oh, I know some of you aren't happy to hear that. You were hoping you might get a free pass because you're taking the bar exam. I know that's a wish that we might have, a fantasy. Thinking to yourself, if I study for the bar, I might not have to do anything around the house, or I won't be required to take on any projects at work, or I'll be entitled to be a real pain in the rear to everybody that I come in contact with. Yeah, unfortunately, that's not the case. So it's very important to say to your family members in particular, but to your employer, to the people in your community, in your neighborhood, in your circle of acquaintances, what do you need from me? And then listen to them. It may be a spouse that says, I'd like you to take me to the movies or out to dinner once a week, or spend some time with the kids and let me go out occasionally. Or I need you to do a little bit of work around the house. You could still take out the trash or empty the dishwasher. Or at work, they might say, we still need you to work on this particular project, or to be part of this litigation team, or to work on this particular developmental project. And it'll have to be done by such and such a time. Then you should try to map out those things as best you can. I strongly suggest taking a calendar and literally mapping out the times that you're setting aside for family, for work, for the non-negotiables, for church or community, and then figure out where the study fits in with that. Try to figure out how to balance the priorities and let people know that you're going to have to do some things that may not include them, but there is a good upside. There's a big upside when you pass the bar. And then ask what you can do to help them. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, nobody should ask me to do anything. Don't they know I'm taking the bar exam? It's really stressful and it's really important and blah, 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 blah. Here's the amazing part. Between you and me, nobody else actually really cares so much that you're taking the exam. I'm sorry to put that truth on you, but the reality is that while it's super important to you, to everybody else, it's just a part or a small part or a minuscule part of their life. Even if you are one of the most important people in their lives, it's just a small part of their life. And why? They don't get to take the test. All they can do is watch you study, watch you get ready, and then hope and pray that it works out well. So you have to continue to be in the world with other people. In order to do that, enlist their support. One of the ways you can enlist their support beyond what I just mentioned is that you can indicate early on, before you get what I call bar exam crazy, and take it from me, most bar applicants, somewhere in the process, even if it's just for a few days, will get bar exam crazy, or bar exam fever if you wish. So before you get crazy or fevered, talk to the people in your world and tell them up front, look, somewhere during this process, I've been told that I may get crazy, hard as that is to believe. And if that happens, I give you permission today to tell me, hey, Jackson, you're getting bar exam crazy and you need to knock it off. Now, it's really important to do that for two reasons. One is that you'll need to hear from somebody that you trust when you get crazy. It's like the hard slap across the face to get you out of your dementia. And believe me, hearing it from someone that's a friend or a spouse or someone that you trust is the most effective way to do it. Hearing it from me, if you're in our course, is nowhere near as effective. And I'll tell you that there's nothing like hearing from a 14-year-old that you've gone totally berserk, but sometimes you need to hear it. So the people in your world have to have permission to speak truth to you, which you can only give when you're rational, and that's at the beginning of the process. You certainly cannot give them permission when you're bar exam crazy. In addition to you needing to hear it from them, they need to know that they have the permission to let you know when you're getting crazy. One of the most frightening and difficult things in the world of someone who's with a bar taker is to watch someone else go through this trauma and to know you can't do much about it, and you don't feel like you can say anything to them. So you have to give people permission to let you know when they're feeling that you are over the edge. Now that'll relieve a lot of pressure. It won't allow things to build up and turn into major disasters and crises of an interpersonal nature when you're trying to study for the bar. It's really just as simple as having a family meeting, for example, and saying, look guys, I'm going to be studying for the bar exam. It's a process. I've got some work to do. It's going to be stressful for me at times, and I may be a little edgy and jumpy, but I want you to tell me when I get that way. And I want you to give me some reality checks, and I'll be okay. I won't be mad at you, and I'm telling you today, that's a good thing for you to do. That'll clear the air right from the beginning. It sets the ground rules and let people know what you expect and what they can expect from you. If you're in our course, we have a lecture that's actually called A Message for Your Family, which you could give to anyone in your world, a friend, a coworker, a parent, a child, whoever it is that cares about you, in which I talk in much more detail specifically to that person about what's coming up for you, what they can do to help you, and what they should expect during this process of you studying for the bar. It's actually one of the most commented on lectures in the course. And interestingly enough, it came from my wife, Sarah, who said, honey, you get bar exam crazy fever yourself, and you're a real pain in the rear to deal with when you've got that. I found that impossible to believe, but taking her advice, I figured, I ought to pass that along to other people and our students and their families who have to deal with them. And it's been a very successful message. So, one of the ways you can improve your score is this simple idea of enlisting the support of your friends, your family, your coworkers, the people that matter to you. When you have them on your side, you're going to find that you're not alone in the process, and that support can be a great comfort and a great aid to you. Ultimately, it's going to allow you to study more effectively and to get a higher score on the exam. That's our message. We'll be back in lesson number 3 when we talk about a really important tip, visualizing your results. I'll see you on that next lesson.